everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, this week's lesson is a combination of Jimi Hendrix and Muddy Waters, and obviously Jimi was very influenced by Muddy Waters. You can hear a lot of muddy licks when you're listening to the way that Jimi approached guitar. And so I decided to take those two artists rather, and put them together into a single lesson. So that's what we're going to be learning this week, is this kind of voodoo blues that you might hear Hendrix play, obviously inspired by Muddy Waters. So I've split this lesson into two parts. So in this video we're going to take a look at part one. If you want to download the tablature for the entire piece that I played in the intro, as well as look at the other videos in this lesson, go to ActiveMelody.com and look for EP058. So let's go ahead and take a look at part one. Alright, so I should mention the tone, how I'm getting the tone, this really heavy overdrive. I'm using a full tone OCD pedal for that, and I've got the drive at about 70%, which gives you this really nice overdrive sound. So in fact I use that OCD pedal for any really heavy sounds that I need to get out of the guitar, and I just use the stock pickups in the Telecaster, and I might use that with the Gibson ES335 that I play with as well, and it gives you this really nice full overdriven sound. So that's how I get the sound. And I've also got it on the bridge pickup, so the tone is all the way up at 100%. Now the first thing that I played was this little intro part, and I just honestly just sort of did that to try and get this thing going, but I thought, you know what, I should show you how to play that as well. So I included that in the tablature, that part too. But here's how I did it. I just started with the open 5 string, or the A string here, and I picked it once. Now watch what my left hand does. So I'm doing a hammer on to the 1st fret, 5th string, and then a hammer on to the 2nd fret, 5th string. And so I'm just walking that up with my pointer finger and middle finger. That's the first 3 notes. Now as soon as I play that note, the 2nd fret, 5th string, then I go ahead and pick the open 4 string, or the D string. So it sounds together like this. And with that overdrive, that OCD pedal, it'll just ring out, so you get all this great sustain. You can hear if I pull on the neck, I get kind of a little bit of a vibrato type thing, or tremolo. So anyway, that's how I'm getting that effect in the beginning. Now the next thing I played was, and that's I think of that as a Billy Gibbons thing. Sounds like something you'd hear, in ZZ Top. But here's how I'm doing that. So I'm picking again the 5th string on the 2nd fret. Now watch this. So after I pick that, then I play the open 5th string, hammer on to the 1st fret, pull off, hammer on, pull off, hammer on. So the hammer on that time was on the 3rd fret, 6th string. So then I let go of that and play the open 6th string, or the E string, and then I follow it up with an E note that's an octave higher, which is here. So that note is, and I played that with my middle finger, that's the 2nd fret, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 4th string rather. So you can hear it creates this really nice, powerful sound when you play that low E and then play another E, an octave higher, and let them ring out a little bit. And the timing of that, I just sort of let it ring, and then I started it. But that's how I started that intro. Alright, so then let's get into the little riff here. Now, this whole thing revolves around the E chord, so we're playing in the key of E. So I kind of think of the E chord in first position here as home base, because so much of it, like I said, revolves around that. So if you think about playing the E chord, just make an E here in first position, and play that. And what I'm doing there is I'm starting it with that. So that's really that low E, and I happen to hit the 5th string as well. So the string 6 and 5, keeping the E shape down here. That's setting it up. So that's the first thing you do. Now, as soon as you do that, I do an upstroke. So that's a downstroke with the right hand. Then I do this upstroke and play strings 1 and 2. You can hear just naturally, even without fretting it, 1 and 2, the open 1 string and the open 2 string are the first two. When you're playing using all 6 strings, when you're playing an E chord, those strings would be there. They would ring out. And so anyway, that's the first 2 things that you do, is play the low E, then the high E, downstroke, upstroke. Then I went. Now for that, I take my middle finger, and what I'm doing there is I'm coming to the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and I'm going to do a full bend and a release, and a pull off, and a hammer on. Okay, so we're going to do a full bend, pull off, and then a hammer on to the 4th string on the 2nd fret. So slowly that looks like this. Notice I'm just picking that once. So let's put those pieces together. Do it again, I'll do it slower. Then I come down and play that low 6th string again. So we have just playing just that single note that time. And after I play that low 6th string, or the low E string rather, 6th string, I play. And for that, I'm just doing a hammer on. So I'm playing the open 5th string. You can see the hammer on right there. Hammering onto the 2nd fret, 5th string. Then the open 4th string. Then I'm playing the 2nd fret on the 4th string. Like that. And sometimes I hammer that on, that 4th string, and sometimes I pick it. That one just depends on what's most comfortable for you. Some people are better with hammer-ons and pull-offs, but that's how I do that. Okay, now we've actually just created a loop. Now we can put these pieces together. So let me do that slowly. Let's start from the beginning. Now I'm going to skip that intro part. That part. It's not necessary, and I think I've covered it enough that you can go back and watch that piece in the video. So I won't refer back to that. But let's start from the beginning here. So what we have is, and I'll do this slowly. So try and play along with me if you've got a guitar with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you start to feel it? And you have to have a little bit of a swagger when you're playing it. You're almost dragging a little bit in terms of the timing. That gives it that feel, that kind of a lazy feel, but you don't want to be super precise, super robotic. You want to kind of almost feel sloppy when you're doing it. The only pieces that have to be right on the money are these, when you're hitting that E string, that one really needs to be on the beat, but everything else that you're doing can kind of be all over the place. So then the second time through I played. Let me do that again. So it alternates every other time. So let me show you that. So the second time starts the same. You got the low 6th string, and then the 1 and 2 string with the upstroke. So those, and then I've got this little bend, release, pull off, and hammer on. That part, that's the same. Now, here's where it gets different. And what I'm doing there is I'm playing the third string open, and as soon as I play it, I do a hammer on to the first fret, third string. Just like that, with my pointer finger. And as soon as I do the hammer on, then I'm going to do an upstroke and play strings 1 and 2 again. That open string 1 and 2. Hear that? So you're creating that E major chord. Now I use my middle finger for this, and I just come down and bar the first 4 strings on the 2nd fret. And when I play it to get a real heavy, depends on how heavy you want it to sound. If you want it to sound really heavy, go ahead and include that open 5th string and play strings 5, 4, and 3. That'll give you a nice low growl. Or you can play strings 4, 3, and 2, and just play those kind of middle strings. It gives you a different tone, different feel depending on how you hit it. That versus so subtle things like that, but it can, if you want it to sound a little less dark and gruesome, you could play strings 4, 3, and 2 as opposed to 5, 4, and 3. But either way, you're playing an A chord, so that's really what you're doing. And then I'm right back into it. So that's really all there is to that intro part. Now let me, just so you can have this as a reference, let me do a slow version of it so that you can have this and play along in case there was any little pieces that you missed. So here we go. Here's a slower version. Alright, so if you want to learn what I did in between those riffs, where I did things like all those little fillers, you're going to have to go to activemelody.com, look for EP058, and you'll see the second video in this series. Alright, that's all I have for this one.